Now, no nation can maintain its sovereignty or develop if it is faced with insecurity. It is military officers who put their lives on the line to ensure the safety of citizens of their country. In Nigeria, many officers have lost their lives in the line of duty. This is why every year, the 15th of January is set aside to honor our fallen heroes and to reassure their families that their death is not in vain. The day also celebrates those still in active service. But a day meant for celebration is now a source of sorrow for many as veterans lament hardship they face in accessing their pensions. TVC News senior correspondent Ivy Kanu has more in this report.
The day honors veterans of World War I and II, as well as Nigerian Civil War. Being a former British colony, Remembrance Day was formally celebrated on the 11th of November as Poppy Day in honor of the end of the First World War. Upon the government's victory against the Biafran troops on 15th of January 1970, the holiday was moved. Rather than be a day of joy for Nigerian veterans, it's become a day that reminds them of years of unrewarded and unappreciated toil. Veterans under the coalition of concerned military veterans held protests in two major cities across the country to protest the conditions faced by their members. In their frail state, the placard-carrying veterans occupied the Federal Capital Territory, demanding their pension. The group's spokesman said the supposed structures put in place by the government to better the lives of military veterans appear not to have any impact on their lives.
The veteran community are not asking for things that are not written down and approved. Though. The hospital card I have does not cover the kind of legitimate ailments that a retiree should have. The minimum wage of like 2-3 years ago, veterans are still being owed over 24 months. If I have ailments with my eyes, I go to the hospital in Bonicam. I get one eye drop, maybe the other 3 or 4, they will tell you to buy it. And there's a shop in Bonicam, medical, where they will show you where to buy it. You will see some elderly veterans begging. They don't have the money to pay. Now, the glasses I wear, I will only be able to get the lens. Will I tie it with ropes?
Traibu Ahmed is a widower. He was enlisted into the Nigerian Army on the 14th of July 1969 and retired 30th of June 1993. He says life has been an uphill battle as an ex-serviceman.
Because I feel the Nigerian Army has disappointed me. Not only me, but even those who are serving at present. Because they are coming to face the same thing. Those who are serving, like the chairman of pension board, when we complain, he will be telling us stories. But this man doesn't know that he's going to join this thing.
Nigerian government, military government, created Veterans Affairs Department in the Ministry of Defense. It's headed by a serving general. How will he know the constraints and concerns of veterans?
The 83-year-old is only a pointer to what many other veterans across the country are facing. And while the country pay respects to the nation's fallen heroes, many are of the view that those still living should be appreciated now, having given their youthful years for the peace, growth, and unity of the country. Ivy Kanu, TVC News, Lagos.
Well, joining me via Zoom is retired officer commanding Tactical Command, Nigerian Air Force with headquarters in Makurdi, retired Air Vice Marshal Femi Gbadigbo. And also joining discussion from our Abuja studio is the widow of a fallen hero, Maria Emmanuel. Also joining us in our Abuja studio as well is Advocate Heroes Dreams Alive, Olatayo Emmanuel. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Right. Let me begin with you, retired Air Officer Commanding Tactical Command, retired Air Vice Marshal Femi Gbadebo. You saw that report by our correspondent talking about how life is with ex-servicemen. I perhaps want you to paint us a picture of what life has been since retirement. The stories are not really quite encouraging, but let's get your reaction and also share your experience.
Well, really, the process of retirement for most people is rather sudden, which leaves very little room for planning. The life in the military and the barracks is such that you are provided accommodation and a lot of benefits like free medical services, which is very important. But you see, once you retire, everything's just cut off. Yes, you can go to the medical center. Yes, you can do, your children can still go to the Air Force school. But the access is not as smooth as it should be. And with the introduction of, National Health Insurance Scheme, we ended up in a situation where a lot of services, or that should be, you see, consultation is virtually all you get. The real medication which you need, especially as you get older, are either not paid for, are only partially paid for, and where you now have to go out and look for it. And then the issue of even getting your pension is where you have a lot of problems with a lot of our people. Pension used to be so meager in the past. Yes, it started with General Obasanjo, who did something both to increase the salaries of soldiers and also pensioners. And of recent, President Buhari has done a substantial work. But there's one thing to get an approval. It seems to be another thing to get a release. And when you consider the fact that most pensioners are on the verge of dying, either due to medical ailment or age or whatever, and worry is not a good thing for a pensioner, you discover that many people are dying even before some of the approvals are paid. I mean, why should you get an approval in, let's say, January 2020 from the presidency, and then you are still waiting for the payments till maybe June 2022, and within that period, many people have died. And let me tell you something, the way pension is paid is such that it is paid until the day you die. So immediately you die, even the arrears are not just seem to disappear. And if you die, let's say on the 10th of the month, and the information gets to pension board, your likelihood of even your family getting your pension for that month is close to zero. And thereafter you drop off. So when people complain, it is because of these conditions. Now, what we don't seem to understand in Nigeria, which is practiced in other countries, is that the way you treat a pensioner affects the morale of those who are serving. Because it is when they see their senior colleagues, people who they had so much respect for, virtually being turned to beggars, it actually affects your morale and your capacity to sacrifice for a nation that doesn't seem to understand you.
Right.
Most of us, especially in retirement, have gone to see what happens in the private sector. And that's why we see the agitations that are going on.
All right, let's quickly turn to our other guest, Maria Emmanuel. She is the wife of a fallen hero. And we would like to understand perhaps the challenges that you have faced at the time when your husband passed. What is life like? Yes, we know that you have perhaps an NGO trying to help others. How were you also able to live through the times such that you decided to be helping others?
Yeah, for me, as a widow of a fallen hero,
Go ahead, we can hear you.
For me, as a widow of a fallen hero, it has really not been easy because, as you know, the job of our late husbands has to do with keeping the peace of the nation. Is a risky one at that. So most of us wives then, we were housewives. We were not working because we had to take care of the children while they go on transfers and all of that. So when it happened, being a woman who was not earning money at that time, it was quite difficult because he was the breadwinner. So, and also caring for the children was fully his as per the financial aspect of it. So it's been quite difficult. And again, living in the barracks, you know, we lived in a secluded area in the barracks, and when it happens, you're forced to leave the barracks after some time. You have to now begin to change a whole lot of things about you, the living standard, trying to live with civilians, because the job of our husbands is a disciplined one. If you have lived in the barracks, you know that military, they are highly disciplined. So you having to come to stay with civilians now, you have to learn a whole lot of things in a place where nobody really cares about who you are, about hierarchy. Because in military, there's hierarchy, so you respect your superiors, but there, nobody really cares about you. So it's been quite difficult, even taking care of the children, where you didn't have money on your own.
So how were you able to pick up the pieces to the extent that you are now looking to help other persons who find themselves in the situation you found yourself at the time?
Yeah, when you talk about picking up the pieces, I can tell you that as a widow, you can really never pick up the pieces fully. You just pick them in parts. Because every day of your life, you're mourning. You remember, you know, a job of two people, you are not doing them alone. It can never really be easy. So, but for me, I had to, because looking at my children, I know that now he's gone. I just have to live for them. If I don't try to stand on my feet, that means the children he has left behind will really not be able to find their feet in the society. So I was able to just let the bygone, let the past remain in the past, and know that as a widow, it's my reality. This is my reality. And with this, I was able to mentor other young widows to know that, you know, you can't dwell in just lamenting that you are not alone. How do you do it? To know that what they are facing now is their reality, because most widows don't really understand that this is who they are now. So that's why you see most widows keep looking for help where there is no help. So you can only succeed by coming down to ask yourself, do I really have anybody now? No, you have nobody but God. So the moment you know that God is all you have, I think it will be easy for you than when you keep hoping that there are people out there that are going to help you. But in a way, God is a faithful God, because when he knows that you are looking up to him, he keeps sending people, because the fact remains that you cannot do it on your own. But him on his own will send those that will help you to go through this situation.
Absolutely. Let's talk to Olatayo Emmanuel. She is an advocate of heroes' dreams alive. How has it been trying to keep the heroes' dreams alive, Olatayo?
The heroes' dreams alive. I've been trying to do that through the children of fallen heroes. There's a story I heard of the poppy. It actually grew on the battlefields where soldiers, you know, were slain. And that showed that there was hope, that life could still happen. So usually, most times, whenever people's fathers die, for a moment it's like, you know, it's like life has paused for them. But what I'm advocating for is that life can still happen even after they've lost their parents due to service to their nation. And that is by sending these children to school to give them a better edge, equity, to do better, a chance to actually win in this life. That is what I'm advocating for. That although our fallen heroes have fallen in their glorious graves, that their children can actually still be something nonetheless. That we care, that they are not alone. That because their fathers are dead and gone, does not mean that, we've forgotten their sacrifice. The sacrifice of life can never be compared to anything else. It's the highest sacrifice. So that is the way that I am.
So what kind of
advocating
support?
For the heroes' dreams.
What kind of support have you been getting with regards to trying to ensure that the heroes' dreams are kept alive, ensuring that the children or fallen heroes go to school? How has it been like, especially trying to convince them to, get on board with this vision that you have?
Well, I've had this vision for a while, actually, for about 3 years or more. But due to studies and all of that, I've not had the time to actually bring it out. But I brought it out yesterday, the day before yesterday, officially. I told my friends about it. I've garnered them and all, and they actually do support the idea. I'm yet to get actual funds, to send these children back to school, or to aid them rather, because I'm sure some are, but it's not easy. And, finances, the state of their home could actually affect their mental health while in school. But I'm yet to actually get funds to help the children. But right now, it's stirring something in people. People have come to me, they've said they actually love the idea, and whatever they need, if I find certain children that are lost to both parents to service to their nation, I should let them know. So yeah, I just birthed it this week.
And that's a good one, and we believe that a lot of Nigerians will give you the needed support to keep this dream alive indeed. Let me come back to you, retired Air Vice Marshal Femi Gbadebo. The Army has said that it is committed, to ensuring the welfare of fallen heroes. And from all that you have said, it seems that is not the case. So how would you want the military to perhaps improve its commitment, to the families of the fallen heroes, such that it encourages those who are in active service as we speak?
Well, one of the problems we have in Nigeria is the issue of data. Keeping statistics. In that of retired personnel is fairly easy, because as they retire, they register for their pensions and certain processes are put in place. But when it comes to widows or children of fallen heroes, it's a more complex process, in the sense that even the rules state out clearly that the woman is entitled to pension for as long as she does not remarry. Once she remarries, she loses certain benefits. The children also enjoy benefits like free education and so on, up to the age of 18, or thereafter, if they gain university admission before the age of 18. So there are clauses that sometimes even the widows or the children need to understand. But as far as payment of benefits and so on are concerned, you see, when the Army says they're committed, that's the Chief of Army Staff. Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Air Staff, Chief of Naval Staff are directly responsible for the payments of salaries and emoluments of those who are serving. The Military Pensioners Board, on the other hand, is the one that handles issues of pensions and other things like that. And so, yes, the Army may be committed. Yes, the other services may be committed. But then you have an issue where the pension board has the role, but pension board that has actually been reinvigorated over the years, can only disburse what they are given. So you have the Department of Defense Affairs at the Ministry of Defense, and you also have the Ministry of Finance. We have a problem now. The president just signed a budget a few days ago. If things were running well, the budget is supposed to contain things that have been approved to be spent in the year 2022. And so as at when due, this funds should come out. But we run a system where even when you get approval from the presidency, the Ministry of Finance still has to decide how much they can release and how to prioritize the resources that are available to them. This is where we have a problem. It's just like a contractor who has done a job. It should not be up to some department of government to now be deciding whether they have money to pay or not when the approval has been given. Approval should be given based on funds that are available and prioritized in various ways. And for some reason, pensioners and widows and their children are never on the priority when it comes to releasing these pensions, these allowances, these adjustments in pensions and whatever that government continuously approves.
Right. And so it is now to make widows, their children, as part of the priority that the pensions, Military Pensions Board will be looking at moving forward. Those are the areas you are looking to see improved upon as we continue to celebrate. Right.
Exactly. Because you see, every time you see these demonstrations and protests and so on, it paints us as a country in very bad light. Because a country that does not take care of its own people, especially this unique group of people who have made sacrifices. You see, even if I didn't die in service, I know that I went through certain trauma. I know that I lost some of my colleagues, and it is by the grace of God I'm here. And I know that as I see their widows and their children, it hurts that, but for the sake of God, that's where I would be, or that's where my family would be. So there is a lot that's going on that we're not, when people talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, it goes beyond just going to war and coming back. It also has to do with this aspect of nonchalance. And like I heard someone said earlier, even some of the people who are in position now, it's as if they forget that they will soon retire and they will be in the same boat. So it's like, if you fix let's say the pension home, if I can be funny here, I remember when President Obasanjo came out of prison, the first thing he did was to look at prison reform as president. And he even picked one of the, the controllers of the prison where he was and made him Minister for Internal Affairs. That's to show how, he said, we don't have to go to prison, we don't have to go to certain things to understand. We must interact, and we must interact like colleagues, with each other with respect.
Right. So let me get to Maria Emmanuel now. We see Air Vice Marshal retired saying that there has to be some improvement with regards to the benefits accrued for the wives and children of fallen heroes. Now, how do you intend perhaps to push this, or what would you want to see with regards to that? And how would you want the government to address that as quickly as possible?
Yeah. For me, as a widow myself of a fallen hero, husbands died for this country. They gave their lives. And I believe that when they joined the military, they signed some documents which gave their lives away with certain promises. There's what they call group life insurance. When they die, this money is supposed to go to the family of these fallen heroes. So In order to appease these fallen heroes, especially now that we are celebrating the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, I was thinking that during the Armed Forces Remembrance Day is a time for the government to look at those promises and also prescribe a way of fulfilling them by paying these monies. But as it is, it's not been done, both to the veterans as well. There are certain things they're supposed to also do for the veterans that is not forthcoming. So as a widow, I expect that, especially this period, that government should look at a way of fulfilling these promises. I think that's the best way that you can actually honor our fallen heroes. You know, promises made to a dead man and the fulfillment of same is the only celebration that can honor them. So, and as a widow, I think we'll be having consultations with different groups to find a way that we're only appealing, we are not fighting, but we are appealing that government should look at our plights and understand that these children that they left behind, there's no amount of money you give to a widow or to a fallen hero child that will be enough if the father were to be here with them. At least a lot of people failed to join the military because they don't want to lose their lives. They want to stay with their family because they love them and they cherish them so much. But ours decided to go to give their lives so that you and I can sleep very well. So the most they can do for these, the families of fallen heroes is to at least honor these dead military men and women by fulfilling the promises made to them.
Quickly, Olatayo Emmanuel, quickly, what would you want perhaps government to improve upon with regards to the children of fallen heroes as you look to launch your NGO that has to do with them? Quickly.
I would want them to improve on, already the government is doing a good job, but I think they should hasten up the pay of military personnel's pension, because the pension is basically an agreement of their life for their country in exchange for this money is being paid to their families. Because as of right now, some families have still not been paid for over how many years, and more soldiers are still dying today. The children too should be offered some sort of scholarships, skill acquisition, focusing on the children of fallen heroes to help them. This is what I think the government should improve on.
All right. I must thank you all, retired Air Vice Marshal Femi Gbadebo. I must also thank you, wife of a fallen hero, Maria Emmanuel, as well as Advocate Heroes Dream Alive, Olatayo Emmanuel, for your time on TVC Breakfast. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.